Way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Good morning from paradise, my fellow surf family. My name is Crypto Amaru. The entire surf crew is in the house. We are feeling good. We are feeling great. It is Wednesday, October 29th. It is FOMC meeting day. It is Fed rate cut day. It is when market pump day. We're going to talk about why Bitcoin's been languishing a bit, where you see the stock market all-time highs. Gold obviously just went on a massive run. NVDA hits $5 trillion market cap. When is Bitcoin going to catch up with this frothy market? We are going to cover that story in depth today. We also have some more, let's just say, fun topics to cover. How about those EBT scammers? Anyone watching this channel right now collecting EBT? Get off your lazy ass and get a goddamn job. How's that sound?
Or at least go buy some surf with it.
Right. At least do something useful like investing in the stock market instead of buying junk from China. In any event, we will cover that story a little bit here because why not? We think it's funny. We got some airdrops coming too for everyone who's been struggling. I know this market's been down. It's been tough. Altcoins on a 2-year downtrend. Who couldn't use some free airdrop money right about now? So we'll cover the 4 or 5 airdrops that are upcoming here during this cycle. And yeah, why don't we kick it off? Fed. It's finally the day. Obviously, the market's been a little bit underperforming from a Bitcoin standpoint. I sort of expect a little bit of a run up here into the rate cut. I know we hit $116,000 a few days ago, but we're sort of chilling around 113. First of all, what's your expectations? We get in the 25 basis point, we get in the 50, and then what do you think happens with the market? Like, when is Bitcoin going to finally run here to all-time highs?
I mean, I was sitting here saying, hey, us beating the CPI data gave us a higher chance of 50 basis points. But now I don't know if it's me getting swayed by so many people on Twitter, but like everybody now, it has me nervous that maybe there's not even going to be a cut. That hasn't even crossed my mind. I thought foregone conclusion, 0.25% cut. And then I was like, hey, guys, if we beat the CPI, we got a chance at a 50 basis point cut. That happened. I'm like, oh, well, maybe we got a chance. And now people are talking about no cuts and Powell's going to do no cut and this, that, and the other. I'm like, shit, maybe there'll be no cut. And maybe that's why the market's reacting the way it is. It did go to 116,000 Bitcoin yesterday. We're sitting at 112, 113,000 right now. Still slightly green on the day, but red from the high yesterday. And that's pretty interesting price action going into what could be the start of QE as well. People forget that. Not only are we looking at interest rate cuts, but depending on what Powell says, this might be the actual official on switch for QE starting and QT officially ending some point this week during these discussions. So I don't know. I'm still going to keep with what I said, 0.25 guaranteed. I hope it surprises the market with the 0.5. But all these no coiners, all these doubters, all these bears do starting to creep into my mind here, making me a little nervous that maybe no cut and we are in some turmoil times.
Well, if we don't get any cuts, get your stink bids ready. Markets are going to absolutely fire sale if we don't get a cut. There'll be some excellent buying opportunities. Might want to put a few bids in below where you think they should be, just in case. But no, I'm with you, Nick. I think 25 basis points. I don't think there's going to be any fireworks from the Fed meeting. I think it's going to be pretty much a nothing burger. I like what this tweet says here. You know, rate cut 50 basis point, market goes nuts. 25 basis point, everybody's expecting, kind of priced in, market stays flat. No cut, we're in trouble.
Well, look, here, first of all, before we get into my analysis of the FOMC meeting day, by the way, I'm a lot more dovish and a lot more bullish than I think probably most people are out there because I've been paying attention to what's happening in the wider economy. You know, it's amazing what happens when you actually read and watch news and understand the state of the world. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to all the new listeners here. Oh, is that Gugod? Gugod in the house. Oh my goodness. Is that Goo God? Is that the real life Goo God? I hope it is, man. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you jumping in. Yeah, government shutdown, EBT check. That's okay, man. Gonna have to get a job now. You're gonna have to get a job just like the rest of the bums. But shout out to all you guys. It seems as if the word is beginning to spread. We're giving away $1,000 a month to the most active and engaged Crypto Paradise community members. So that means joining these streams or commenting after if you can't make it live. It means being a part of the Telegram community. It means having insightful comments and thoughts and questions. So obviously, there's been a lot of you guys super active, and I'm sure you'll be in the running here for the $1,000. But anyone new, we appreciate you jumping in here. Hopefully, you learned something and have a little fun. All right, so here's what's going to happen today, guys. 25 basis point, absolutely foregone conclusion. And I do think there is a very good chance that Powell signals explicitly that QT is coming to an end. And by that, I mean they are going to have to stop selling off their treasuries and their mortgage-backed securities because the banking sector is in turmoil because of this, because the economy is in, I think, a much greater risk of tipping into recession than people realize, and because, frankly, they've been in way too tight of a quantitative position for way too long. So let's just break that down a little bit, right? Yesterday, it came out that at least half a dozen, if not more, of the biggest companies in America and around the world are cutting jobs at an alarming rate. Amazon, 40,000, I believe, cut job across their white-collar workforce and across their warehouse-type workforce. AI is coming for your jobs, folks. UPS, also massive cuts. You go down the list, there was probably 6 or 7 big corporations that are cutting jobs at an alarming rate, and that just came out yesterday. We know from looking at the economy, auto delinquencies, I think, are at all-time high now. Auto loan delinquencies are at an all-time high. I think it's close to 7% of all auto loans are in delinquency. And then you had the fact that banks' balance sheets are stressed as well, and you have a situation where the Fed has to cut the rates to stave off a calamity. So, look, I don't know if they do the 50 because inflation's still higher than they want, and I don't think they're going to go full 50, sadly enough. But I do believe 25 basis point is a foregone conclusion, and I do also believe that Powell is going to stop QT, and that essentially means what? The start of quantitative easing. That's the opposite of QT. So they're going to stop selling all these treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, and they're going to look to start buying them up soon. I don't know if the crypto market has been paying a lot of attention. I think a lot of people in the crypto market paid way too much attention to the historical, 4-year cycles. They've been looking at that. They've been looking at this, that, the other thing. They haven't been paying attention to the thing that moves the needle the most, which is Fed policy, and that is about to become a lot more favorable for risk assets. So I'm bullish. I'm dovish. Everyone feeling the same way. I hope you like, share, and subscribe, just like Todd is recommending you do.
Well, Nick, sorry, I was a little distracted there. I'm trying to play around with the chat on X, because right now we got the feed from YouTube. I know a lot of our views come from X, from Twitter there. Trying to get that working. If you're out there watching, drop us a message. For whatever reason, chat is not showing up.
Oh, on X?
Yeah. Anyways. All right, now it seems to be showing up there. No, what I was gonna say, I'll comment there again. Same for everybody on YouTube, especially you guys on YouTube, because we can put you up on screen. Let's take a vote. What do you think? What are we getting? Are we getting 50? Are we getting 25 or no cut? Drop it in there and let us know.
Roan's betting on 50. Small power market. I did. Roan, you're the man. You're the man. Big swinging dick. It's going to pay off for Roan one day. He's taking a lot of little bets, investing in these little all caps. I know it's been tough. You may not win this bet, but eventually you're going to win a bet, my friend. Then you get your 200,000 more serve, and good things happen. So I don't think it's impossible, right? I don't think it's impossible. I think the Fed, they may look at the data and say, you know what? We need to take a little bit more drastic action here because 25 isn't going to turn around the economy quick enough. And if we don't do that, then, what other massive corporation is going to do a 100,000 person layoff next? And that starts to snowball and cause a recession. So let's see. Let's see if they do the right thing. I think 50 would be the right thing, but you've got a lot of Fed governors, so I think it's political. They don't like Trump. They don't like tariffs. They don't like the administration. So they're just making his life very difficult for political reasons. That's my conspiracy theory, anyway. Take that for what you will. But let's turn it over to Nick. I want to get your take on the charts, my friend.
Yeah, and Bitcoin's still in the same range. We did go live on air and say this was a bullish divergence on the 4-hour where price was lower while RSI was holding. That was exactly the low. Also, what we do down here, we put out the video that it is time to start rotating from gold to Bitcoin. That was the one day after the exact high in gold, and this was the exact low in Bitcoin when we did that video. We surged to 116, back above the moving averages, but couldn't hold the close. Now we are showing weakness into this FOMC meeting, and there's still several hours left until the meeting occurs. This is pretty interesting. I don't know the last time we had weakness going into a speculative FOMC cut meeting. So we'll see what happens with price action. Like you said, if you get more red, and even if they do the 0.25, maybe the buy the rumor, sell the news no longer is in effect because, well, the market's already sold off quite a bit. And maybe Powell will be a little more dovish than people think, and we can continue higher. We'll see what happens. Obviously, as a bull, you don't want to see us go back below that 110,000, like 109,800 level on Bitcoin. Otherwise, we start looking at bearish scenarios once again. But Bitcoin did just flip red on the day, down 0.2%. Ethereum still green, though. And Ethereum outperformance is what we were rooting for here. Hovering around the 4,000 mark. We broke out of this triangle and got above 4150, which invalidated this triangle. And now we're seeing a retest. So as long as these levels can hold on Ethereum, this could be a breakout and a retest of this triangle. And then we continue higher, march above the 4250 into the 4500 level would be the next target up here, $4,615. So come on, Fed, help us out here. Come on, Thomas Lee, Joe Lubin. Everything is still looking pretty lockstep. Nothing dramatic, nothing crazy going on here. I know we were talking about big volatility this week because there's something happening each and every day. But really, we're within the same ranges that we've seen. And then with that, Ethereum's weakness, Pulse Chain had multiple days, like a week of green every single day, down 6% today, unfortunately. But, you know, still higher lows. Not everything goes up in a straight line, guys. You got to go step by step. But let's see where this is in relation to the almighty green line. Well, look at that. Rejected once again. This line is the important line, guys. It's been that way for months now. I've told you this, and it just keeps pivoting off that line. We need to break above it. Now, what could you see on a bigger time frame? This could be a left shoulder, a big head, and this could be forming a right shoulder, which would give you mass hysteria to the upside. On the short time frame, you don't want this to rally back up and get rejected again because then everybody's going to be talking about a head and shoulders here, bearish formation, and then we sit sideways chop a little longer on Pulse Chain. But again, we got to break and close above this green line. I talk about it all the time, and day after day we come back. I haven't even looked at the price chart yet today, and look what happened. The green line was a pivot point once again. So how's that affecting Pulse Chain assets? We showed this chart yesterday on the live show saying, hey, it was about right here. Looks like Surf wants to break out. Well, green candles, massive explosion to the upside, and now retesting the breakout level on the weakness of Pulse Chain. I do know that quite a bit of Surf has been burnt with the launch of the XXX token. XXX launched at 20,000 market cap. It's currently sitting at 62,000. And I think they said something like they burnt 18,000 Surf and given out 80,000 Surf, something like that. And in the past 24 hours, Surf indeed has burned almost 40,000 Surf, now up to 3.5 million Surf burned out of existence forever. And not just burned, these are bought back off the open market and burned. So the token economics are working over there. The formation led to a breakout, and now, unfortunately, we're getting Pulse Chain weakness that is dragging price down a bit. But great TA there for Surf. Great levels to get involved. If it can hold this level, then you can continue higher up to the 725,000 market cap level.
Yeah, man, you called it yesterday. You said Surf's about to break out, and then like 4 hours later, it broke out. So good job. We obviously knew that XXX was launching. As did everybody else. I mean, it hasn't been that wasn't a secret. If you follow the channel, you're in the Dow, you know what's going on. But you know, good work, good TA there, like you said. I think Pulse Chain is going to be completely fine, guys. I wouldn't panic and G'd out right now. Just a little correction after days of printing green. Martin, I think you're right, my friend. I think you're absolutely right. Look, I know we love to talk about the short-term news, the day-to-day, you know, excitement of whatever's going on. Is it Fed rate cuts? Is Bitcoin going to this, that, the other? You know how I act as an investor, though? I don't get swayed by all I talk about this because it's entertaining and it's fun, and people can learn from it. But I just keep my eye on the long-term price. Like, whatever happens today, tomorrow for Bitcoin, I don't really give a shit because my time horizon is 10, 20, 30 years. And I think you're right. The bull market is inevitable. the extended bull market is inevitable. And so, unless you're trading leverage today, which I don't recommend it, just hold spot, be long term, and the trend is your friend, guys. The trend is your friend.
Shout out to Tommy saying Crypto Paradise rock. Shout out to Web3 says you rock, Tommy. And shout out to Jay saying morning. I see on Polymarket 98% chance for 25 BPS, 1% for 50, and 1% for no change. Yeah, I'm more leaning towards the surprise 50 than the no change, but that no change is creeping into my mind a little bit because all the people that are caught in cash are trying to talk down our bags.
Well, looking at speaking of short term and long term here. Short term, the last couple times here, Bitcoin's dropped 6 to 8% after the last 3 FOMC meetings, but it made a new all-time high before the next FOMC meeting. So what would that pattern look like? There's no FOMC in November, so we could see a pullback here. After this announcement, if we get a flat market with 25 base point cut, a pullback 6-8%. But that would mean we get a new all-time high before the FOMC in December, which I believe is the first week in December. Don't quote me on that, but it is early in December. So you don't have to wait about a month till the next all-time high. Relatively short amount of time, new all-time high by Christmas. But looking at the long picture, I believe yesterday we talked about the prior 21 instances where the S&P was within 2% of an all-time high when they made a rate cut. This today out here will be the 5th time the Fed cuts rates with the S&P at all-time highs. All 5 prior instances saw a market year later with an average return of 20% higher, the worst return being only 15% higher on the S&P there. The S&P is going to pump 20% in the next year. What does that mean for Web3 and crypto, which typically much, much more volatile, much, much more upside?
Imagine that. QE pumps markets. It's almost like we've been telling you that, and there's some historical data telling you that as well. And also, don't forget, guys, that Thomas Lee, based on historical data, is calling for a big S&P finish to the end of 2025 even. Like another 5 to 10% higher on S&P over the course of the next couple months, which should continue to put some strength behind Bitcoin. I know we've been saying that, and people are like, well, why is Bitcoin lagging stocks so much? Stocks keep going to new all-time highs, blah, blah, blah. I think we just have a rotation going on. There's some major whales rotating out, taking big profits, and those are getting swapped out with new holders. And right now, those new holders are just institutional players. We have no retail support or retail FOMO driving into the Bitcoin and Ethereum markets like we saw just happen with the gold markets when gold went from 3,500 to 4,400 seemingly overnight because retail FOMO'd and lined up outside their jewelry stores day after day.
Well, everything goes in cycles, right? So when you have Fed easing, cutting rates, first we had gold, by the way, running. That was sort of the debasement trade. That was, we don't like tariffs. We don't love, U.S. economic policy. So we're moving into gold. So that was phase 0. I love that chart that we threw up a few weeks ago. Now I think we're kind of in the less risky of the risky assets. Let's call that S&P 500, the Magnificent 7. That's what's dragging up the entire index, by the way. I mean, NVIDIA just hit 5 trillion, one of our titles for today. Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, Google, Netflix, that is what controls the S&P 500. And all those tech companies are absolutely smashing it on the AI trade. Right? That's the AI trade that's happening. What's next in the cycle? Where does capital run to when easing is all but guaranteed and we're 2 or 3 cuts into the rate easing cycle? Where does money flow next? My guess is into Bitcoin, Ethereum, digital assets. It won't yet flow into your favorite altcoins, guys. It will not flow into the low caps, in my estimation, in the next month or maybe even 2 months. But there will come that glorious moment in time when Ethereum has gone on a massive run to 10,000. Bitcoin's at the 150, and that is when altcoins start to go bananas, and you have 3 to 6 months of crazy altcoin outperformance, an absolute melt up across all the markets. We're getting rich forever. Oh my God, Bitcoin to $1 million. And then bam, that's when the crash will hit. So that's what's going to go down, guys. We're still in, I think, arguably phase 0 or 1. Money's moving into S&P 500, and we got a long way to go before Bitcoin is at 180, 200 grand, ETH at 10K, and your favorite altcoins at 10x.
Yeah, I think the AI
Well,
trade is one to keep an eye on. Even CZ himself is talking about how he's looking for good AI projects to launch on BSC. He understands the future of AI is strong, and having Web3 AI products that are actually real and legitimate and produce revenue, I think, is great for underlying crypto assets. So we have our eyes on a couple. We're involved with a couple. We've seen Bear AI launch on Pulse Chain. Obviously, need user adoption to drive revenue, and these things take time. But CZ himself says AI is here to stay, and the stock market should tell you the same. AMD ripping new all-time highs, NVIDIA ripping new all-time highs, and those companies are driven by AI, automation, and by gamers. That's it. That's what those companies are. The chips are used for AI predominantly, data centers, robotics, and video gamers.
You guys have to invest in these markets. I'm telling you right now, because in 20 or 30 years, AI will have taken a lot of our jobs. It's a scary thought, but I think that's the trend we're going in. It's already happening. Why do you think those big companies started firing people yesterday? You think Amazon was hurting for money, their stock price is down, and that's why they did it? No, they know they can automate a bunch of stuff with literal robots working in these manufacturing facilities and in the warehouses. So, either have a really, really great skill that's hard for AI to replicate and steal, or I think your best chance of this is to actually just be invested in these assets. Invest in NVIDIA. Try to get out in front of this and make money from it, because I think in 30 years, jobs are going to be much more scarce. Maybe that's a bit of an alarmist take, but I don't know. I don't see this trend going in the right direction. What say you there, Nate?
Yeah, so in terms of like the AI stuff, yeah, unknown frontier, scary stuff for sure. I am ever an optimist and hopeful. I've read a bit up on it. There's a lot of speculation around, there's things that AI is going to be really good at. There's still going to be things that people are going to be really good at. And there's going to be things that we discover that people and AI are really good at doing together that each one can't do separately. We'll discover new problems to solve, new things to do with AI, or new things that we can haven't thought of before. So people are very ingenuitive. People are never gonna give up and just or at least maybe not. maybe some of them will, but which we're seeing with some of the EBT stuff. But there's always going to be people out there searching for new things to do, new ways to innovate, and new boundaries to push. So I do think that we are going to have some challenging times ahead as we figure out what this AI robotics world looks like. But I'm positive and bullish. But definitely, I'm in the same boat as you. Like I'm doing everything I can to accumulate assets, to put myself in a position where, good, bad, or otherwise, I can take care of myself, my family, and my community. If the worst comes to worst with people, job losses, economy tanking, etc. And speaking of robotics, you mentioned altcoins. I agree. The major altcoin pumps are down the road here now. But there are there's always these mini trends and mini bull runs that are happening within crypto. There's two emerging right now that I am researching. The first one is robotics. There are a few robotics crypto companies that I would definitely be taking a look at. I think Peak is one of them. I need to do a little more research. Maybe we'll cover this a bit more later in the week. But there is a TradFi company that is launching or just opened up pre-sales for their in-home assistant robot. Basically, do your dishes, do the laundry, clean up the house, whatever. It's AI powered. It can learn, but it also can be remote controlled. So if it's a complicated task that it doesn't know how to do yet, you can pay somebody to remote operate your robot to whatever, change your carburetor. Anyways, that just went live. They're selling these $20K for a one-time payment, or $4.99 a month, but those are going to be released next year, early Q1 in 2026. That is starting to spike hype around the whole robotics industry and all the robotics tokens. So that's one place. If you're looking for some super degen alpha, check out robotics projects, robotics crypto. I imagine they're going to be pumping as this robotics deployment unfolds. I know Tesla is also going to be launching their robots next year as well. So that's a mini sub-trend I would keep an eye on in the alt space. The other trend that we're seeing now that I know very little about, but is starting to get a lot of hype, I don't think it's too late yet, is the X402. It's a new internet payment standard. Basically, it's going to allow AI to make payments for you. A lot of different potential use cases, a lot of it very institutional on the developer side, where developers are building tools and they need more power to develop, more server space, more GPU power, whatever. Instead of having to go get the company card, blah, 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 all this stuff, they have these automatic feedback loops where the AI will just buy it in the background via the internet rails. Again, I don't really understand fully what's going on, but easy way I had it described to me. Think about you go on GPT, and instead of having to have it find something for you, then you go buy it, you can just say, hey, these are my parameters. Go find me a good flight to Aruba. It comes back with your plane ticket, kind of a thing. But anyways, so the X402 and the robotics are two sub-trends that are just starting to percolate. If you're looking for some DGen alpha, that's where I'd start.
Nice, man. Great stuff. I love that. And we got Gugod also recommending some AI robotic plays, UiPath. It's a stock. I mean, yeah, this is the next frontier, guys. You want to get in front of the stuff, and I know nothing about that one. We're not recommending you buy it one way or the other, but go ahead and research these things. Get out in front of these trends. I'm just waiting for a robot that can raise my kids. When's that happening? When is that one coming? Can I buy that now? Can I pre-reserve?
I think it's called an iPad.
20 grand, 50. How much is that going to cost? But no, this is great, man. Like, imagine fucking robots, doing the dishes, cooking the food. I don't know, whatever the hell else you do around the house that is annoying as shit. You don't want to do it. Have a robot do it. Like, I'd sign up for that in a second, And that's not taking many jobs because I don't have a housekeeper. I'm too cheap for that. So, anyway, I digress. What do we got here on the screen, or what do you want to touch on here, Nick?
Oh, we'd mentioned QE. QE apparently has officially started. The Treasury buying back $2 billion worth of its own debt. Stealth quantitative easing, super bullish for markets. We've been talking about when is this going to start? Well, apparently it is already underway. In multiple forms. We've been talking about how the stablecoin issuances are also a form of stealth backdoor QE. This just adding to that list of bullishness on the QE front. Obviously, we're all waiting for the big, Powell to go and flip that switch on the money printer, get that meme going again here. But taking steps in the right direction.
Every time I see a story like that, I'm reminded that money is completely fake, guys. Fiat currency. They print it, then they buy it back. Another arm of the government, they're lending and they're borrowing from one side of the government to the other. It's all fugazi. It's all absolutely fugazi. And that's why the dollar value is going down and to the right constantly. I think I saw the other day we lost, 25% of purchasing power since the pandemic even. Or maybe it was like 2010. But either way, it's not good. It's not good. It's because they keep doing this fugazi stuff. So I say that to say this. You ain't going to stop the system. You're not going to be the guy that stops all of this madness. But what you can do is you can invest in hard assets. So get yourself some Bitcoin. Get yourself some stocks. Get yourself some real estate if you can. And maybe get yourself a robot here because Bagito, what's up, Bagito? He's trying to sell us robots for 20K. That's a good use of money, by the way. Robot sold for 20K, doing all my dishes, cooking my food. If it's halfway decent, chef.
Until that first maintenance cost, until that first breakdown. We got Crypto Durgan in the house saying, is Bitmine a better buy than Ethereum? I'm one that has been saying that I think Bitmine is going to have moments of outperformance over Ethereum due to the fact that you're going to get more ETH per share and you're going to have institutional FOMO. But that institutional FOMO only comes when Ethereum shows green candles. So let's do an experiment. Right now, Ethereum is $4,000. Bitmine is $50. Let's come back to this when ETH is 8 or 10, and let's see what Bitmine is. But I think there is going to be moments of outperformance for Bitmine, for SharpLink Gaming, and the other big DATs, because that is institutional FOMO underway that comes when Ethereum has green candles. Not replied to that. It said, if you like ETH, then buy ETH. BMNR is cool, but they will sell it to buy more ETH. BMNR has actually never sold Ethereum to buy more Ethereum. They have enough cash on hand to where if the MNAB of the stock share goes below 1, they can use that cash to actually prop up their stock price in order to get additional raises to buy more Ethereum. SharpLink Gaming has also never sold Ethereum for that case. I did see a news article yesterday where it was the third largest one, the one that we've talked about before, the one that you've talked about. I can't remember the name of it. I'm trying to pull it up here. The Ether Machine did actually sell some Ethereum to buy back its own shares, probably because they're smaller of the three and they're not able to raise funds right now with their MNAB below 1. So I don't see Bitmine or SharpLink Gaming ever selling Ethereum to buy their own shares. That's not really in their mandates over there for those two.
No, they may sell their shares to buy ETH. They do that, right? And that could adversely affect their share price. But I think, to get to answer your question there, Crypto Durgan, obviously no one knows the future, but if you look at strategy, that's probably the best correlated stock certainly to Bitmine. They're both very institutionalized. I think the other one, SBET, is a little more DeFi, a little more degen, so maybe not a one for one. But look at Strategy, right? Strategy actually did outperform Bitcoin over the last like 3-4 years, did it not?
And then what's interesting about Strategy outperforming Bitcoin too is Strategy's strategy was just buy and hold Bitcoin. They weren't really producing yield with it. Ethereum gives the opportunity of yield. We got Bitmine is doing more of the slow grind where they're staking their Ethereum to get that 3 to 5% yield, and then you should get more ETH per share based off that yield. There was an announcement of SharpLink Gaming yesterday that they're putting a lot of money, hundreds of millions or $1 billion, into the Linea platform to try to outproduce on the DeFi side just Ethereum solo staking. So that's where I think you could get the edge if they do well in producing yield and you get more ETH per share there. So we'll see how that factors in. But again, you only get that institutional FOMO when Ethereum is going up, and we need Ethereum above 5,000 for that to happen, both in Web3 markets and in Web2 markets.
Well, according to the mass retail brain, there's a 99% chance that we will see that 5K before 2026, before the year's in here, getting a 99% chance vote on Polymarket for a new all-time high before year's end.
So this is so interesting to me because, across my feed on X and Telegram, etc., I mean, nowhere near 99% of people are bullish. No. I'd say maybe 50% of people in crypto right now are bullish. But yet you're telling me that 99% of the bettors on Polymarket are believing that ETH is going to hit an all-time high before 26. I'm of that camp, by the way. But I'm a long-term crypto bull. I've always been bullish on this industry. I'll continue to be bullish on this industry. But there's a bunch of people in crypto that are bearish right now. They're selling. They're selling. I mean, this is such an interesting, right, dichotomy there. Very, very fascinating stuff. I wonder what your guys' thoughts are on that.
I just think people have such a distorted mental image of time. Like, when to them, like whatever is happening right now is like, oh, we're red today. It's bearish. The market's fucked. Oh, but by the end of the year, oh yeah, we'll be better by then. That's, forever away, even though it's 2 months from now. Like, it just like people are so caught up with the emotional roller coaster of, crypto. When markets are down, I think it's going to be down worse and for an extended period of time. When the markets are up, it's never going to be down again. And then you give a poll like this, and they're like, end of the year by 2020. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, it'll be up by then. Well, that's 2 months from now,
Meanwhile, they're hitting the sell button. They're like, I got to get out. I got to get out. But it's going to be higher. It's going to be higher in a month, but I got to sell my whole position now. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, you jeets. Oh, good Lord.
Well, what does make sense? We've been talking about how Binance is going to continue to infiltrate the U.S. markets. You have Binance U.S. here making a post about America. Yep, Binance U.S. did give the crypto hitman a follow. They're only following 282 people. But yesterday they said the United States will lead the world in crypto innovation. Lock in. This is what you like to see. CZ just got pardoned. Binance U.S. is getting active and, putting Chad Pit Viper glasses on the bald eagle. And it's only, I think, a matter of time before Binance, the main exchange, opens back up to stop geo-blocking the United States of America. I don't know about you, but I really first made it and started my altcoin experience doing well on Binance when it launched in 2017, 2018. They just had so many opportunities over there, staking yield and everything else, that wasn't available on Coinbase at the time. So I really hope that Binance gets opened up to the Americans, and it looks like Binance US back in the saddle and becoming Chads themselves.
Well, it's absolutely going to happen. Binance US is going to be a force to be reckoned with because CZ is in the shadows working behind it. And the regulatory sort of lack of clarity and the hostility that we saw under the Biden administration, that's gone now, right? It's all kumbaya. Trump is embracing crypto. So they've paved the way from a regulator and political standpoint. They pardoned CZ. And now Binance US can sort of re-enter and reestablish itself. I don't know if it'll ever be as big as Coinbase. Coinbase definitely is going to continue to be a market leader from sort of a retail fiat on-ramp exchange standpoint. But Binance US will be there. It will be something to be reckoned with. I'm very happy to see it. I'm happy to see the memes. I'm happy to see the Pit Viper glasses. I'm not happy to hear about these whales that are dumping on everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's annoying. It's annoying, but here's how I look at it, right? There were people, they bought in ETH ICO, for example, or Bitcoin. They bought it in 2010 or 2013, a hell of a lot of it. And you know what? If you held on this long, good for you. Good for you. You deserve your riches. Now you're part of the great rotation. You're selling to Wall Street now. You're selling at 100K. Good for you. I envision myself, because in 10 years, this is ideally going to be me, right? I'll be that guy that held on my Bitcoin for 20 years, and now I'm reaping the fruits of my labors of holding on and getting through the shit, and now I'm dumping it 100 million. So, circle of life, baby, circle of life. I know you feel like a small fish now, but in 10 years, you will be a whale, and you will be selling on the future minnows of, year 2030 and 2040.
I mean, come on. Which one of us, any of us here, anybody watching, anybody on this panel, anybody on the show today, wouldn't sell a $9 billion bag of Bitcoin? Like, how much long? What else do you? What are you holding for at that point?
If you think that's
like,
all
save
their
a moon
Bitcoin,
bag, sure, which I'm sure they did. But if I got $9 billion in anything, I'm going to find a way to get to liquidate that or get to get my hands on cash because of it. Now, maybe times being what they are with this institutional adoption, I probably wouldn't have outright sold $9 billion. I would have found a way to debt leverage that because there's ways you can do that now. But the point being the same, if you went from an average worker to a multi-billionaire, you'd be insane not to take profits. Like, I would be mad at you if you didn't. So you can't blame these guys that held for a decade and now are selling. Like, we'd all do exactly the same. In fact, we'd all probably have sold all the way up. We would have had $9 billion.
Not me. Not me.
We got Web3 in the chat saying, quote, if BMNR decides to implement a small dividend for shareholders from the ETH staking rewards, then it will rip hard as fuck. Makes sense to have a position. Yeah, I mean, if you watch Thomas Lee and you watch all his videos, which I have, I've told you this in the past, he did say that in a sentence in passing. Said, our goal is 5 million ETH. What happens when you get more than 5 million ETH? Well, we're going to look at potential dividend opportunities, whether that's paid in cash or ETH, based off the yield that our Ethereum produces, because our Ethereum will put us at one of the biggest revenue-driving companies in the entire world. That's what their target is. And right now, they already have 3.5 million ETH, 3.6 million ETH, so that timing could come sooner than later, and that would be an article for institutional FOMO. I mean, imagine holding an asset that holds ETH. ETH is going up. Your ETH per share is also increasing, and now you get a dividend payment in ETH or in cash on that. Normally, dividend payments are made on large companies because they have lower upside potentials, but at least you get lower risk because you're getting consistent dividend payments. Rarely do you get this tidal wave of speculative asset that could 100x plus get dividend yield off it to offset some of that risk. I mean, that's very rare, and that's what could cause FOMO for Ethereum and these Ethereum debts.
I mean, the way I look at that discussion is, do you want to follow the anonymous crypto gurus, the PFP profiles on crypto Twitter telling you to sell everything, it's all over, the 4-year cycle, it's been 1,048 days and 33 seconds since the last all-time high, and therefore the crash is coming, sell everything? Or do you want to be on the side of Tom Lee? Do you want to be on the side of Wall Street? Do you want to be on the side of the guys who have actually made billions and billions of dollars in the financial markets, studied this stuff for years, are surrounded by the smartest people, the smartest analysts, the smartest quants, and who are pouring billions and billions and billions of more dollars into this asset class? Who do you want to be aligned with? Who? I'm betting on Tom Lee, baby, so I'm holding my ETH.
Well, the argument those guys make doesn't hold up anymore. They're all like, this is exactly what's happened every cycle. Here are the statistics. Well, guess what? The model is already broke. If you're using that model and saying this is what's happened every 4 years, well, the core of that principle was that the halving comes before the next all-time high. Well, that's broken already. So if that's broken, then your model is broken. And there's multiple other instances of things that have to happen with the 4-year cycle that haven't happened or have happened differently. So all these guys out here that are saying it's like this every year, stop saying it's going to be different. I don't understand that. It already is different. It's already been factually proven to be different. Now maybe this is one aspect that holds, but for you to come in and say because this happened in the past these times, it's going to happen again this way. Well, but there's other variables that build into your model that are broken. So it doesn't make that argument just doesn't make sense to me fundamentally anymore. I understand people that don't think we're going to go deep into 2026. That's understandable. But to come with this evidence and say it has to be like this, your model's broken, bro. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 anymore.
I see the post you have up here, Nate, talking about Germany's AfD party has proposed creating a national strategic Bitcoin reserve, and I laughed at it. First of all, there's a couple live shows ago, we actually talked about this as a joke. We need to probably find it. We probably won't be able to find it to clip it, but we said, hey, when Germany starts talking about Bitcoin reserve, or when they get their reserve online, that'll probably be the top. And now we do have the AFD party. Now I don't think it's the top because AFD party is kind of similar to the Conservative Party in America. They're trying to get back into power in Germany because Germany is absolutely falling apart. Their economy is going to shit, and they just destroyed another nuclear plant there. If any of you care, which is actually hilarious. While meanwhile Elon's telling you that nuclear facilities is kind of the direction we need to go in order to save the planet and harness enough power for all of our human civilization. So Germany keeps failing. New party trying to come into power. And if you guys forget, Germany full ported their entire Bitcoin strategic reserve at the lows at like $50,000. Now would have been sitting on many, many, many more billions of dollars here with Bitcoin at 100K. And it looks like the people are trying to stand up and says, hey, not only do we believe we need our culture back, we need our economy back, but Bitcoin will be part of that future. What do you got going on here, Crypto Amaru and Nate?
Well, I was just saying, I brought this up. I saw the guy with he's been posting a bunch, and we put him up here. Not Gubu. Anyways, he said nation states are stacking BNB, and that reminded me of this story. I remember we were talking a year ago when they sold. This is what happens. We were saying like this is a bonehead move. Obviously they had some law, but you can change the law of having to get rid of that. They're down how many $1 billion now because they sold instead of holding, and now they're gonna flip and say, oh, now we need to create a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Like these are the doomers out there. That post that
sell low, buy high. That's how you make money in the markets, right? You sell low and then you rebuy 2x higher. That's I've done that plenty of times. But this is actually a long-term trend, or maybe it'll be shorter, maybe a shorter-term trend, hopefully. That you may start to see across Europe. Because not only do we have Germany in this AFD party going out on a platform around Bitcoin and strategic reserves of Bitcoin, but the same thing happened, I believe, yesterday, the day before, in France. And, if you sort of zoom out and you look what's happening politically around the world, the left has completely lost the plot on pretty much all topics. And this is coming from a former guy who used to be a progressive living in New York City, drinking the Kool-Aid. So I think I have a right to say this. The left has completely lost the plot around immigration, around transgenderism, around wokeness, around being anti-police. And you're starting to see, it happened first in America, when people said enough is enough, and they voted for Donald Trump. He's cleaning up this country, getting out the immigrants, the illegal immigrants, that is. Improving the economy, Wall Street's all-time highs, blah, blah, blah. But you're going to start to see this happen in Europe. Because I think Europeans are sick of what's been done to their countries from an illegal immigration standpoint, from a wokeness standpoint. I don't know about you guys, but my feed is pretty much all about like what's happening in the UK and innocent people getting killed and murdered by immigrants. And I think the people there eventually are going to stand up and say enough is enough. And same thing in Germany, same thing in France, same thing in Italy. We saw Poland already did it and said, hey, we're going to keep our culture and keep our religion and so on intact, and we're not going to allow immigration in, right? So this is a trend. And once the people, quote, on the right and the conservatives are back in power, they're pro-Bitcoin. That's the thing. And we see it with these bills, see it with the AFD party. So this is a long-term trend to keep an eye on. I think the left has absolutely lost the plot. They've destroyed a lot of the countries that they've been in charge in for a while, and it's time for a change. So if you guys in Europe are voters, get out there, make your voice heard, because it's not too late. In my opinion, you can still save your countries.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation, because I'm sure there is people in UK and in Europe who live here, and I'm sure there's many good areas. I mean, I live in St. Louis City, where people say it's the most dangerous city in the United States. Not the most dangerous anymore. Now it's down to like 5 or 10 or something. But I live in a neighborhood, and you would never know that. But it goes by what is your population density and crime rates and everything else. So I'm sure there's still good parts of the UK, but you do need to wake up. Japan's waking up. They just got a new leader, a woman, and they are literally going to be mass deportating illegal immigrants, and they have like only 5%. UK's at like 50% of the population now is illegal immigrants or immigrants that were allowed in under leadership. And what's actually was eye-opening to me is the UK used to be the most powerful civilization in the history known to man and ran almost the entire world. Now the Qatari royal family owns more London property than the king. That is insane. Remember, for thousands of years, Muslims and Christians kill each other over land and power. And if you told those people that 1,000 years later, the Qatari royal family would own more property on your land against your religion than the king of your land, that would blow their mind. That is what's happening right now. And you need to wake up. You need to wake up. I'm not saying all Muslims are bad, Islam's bad, the Qatari people are bad. I'm not saying that. But that is your land and your culture. And now their royal family owns more property on your land than your own royal family. That is crazy to think about.
I think it's suicidal empathy.
Exactly.
Why? Because you ask, why is this happening, right? And I think a lot of people on the left, I don't want to maybe use the word indoctrinated, but they're taught growing up that, your ancestors were the colonizers, your ancestors were the oppressors. And so you're kind of growing up feeling a little guilty about that. Like, do I have more and they have less because of what happened in history? And there is truth to that. Let's not sugarcoat it. And let's not pretend
that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
But the problem then becomes is then bending over backwards to sort of accommodate and like make up for that. And then all of a sudden, your country doesn't look like it did, for the last 1,000 years because an entire new culture, whether right or wrong, it's new, it's different, has come in and sort of now is 30 or 40% of the population. Look, if everyone voted, again, I'm very much a libertarian. If everyone in the UK or the majority truly was like, yeah, I'm for this. I don't want English culture to be prevalent anymore. I want it to be more multicultural, and I want to have this, that, the other. Okay, hey, that was their choice. They voted for that, and okay, you live in that country. But I don't think the majority actually wants that. It's a lot of these officials, the highest, ranking politicians, et cetera. They come in with this mindset. They come in with this viewpoint of let's, multiculturalism better, and they sort of force it down everybody's throats. And then people look around and go, wait, I didn't vote for this. I don't want this. And then all of a sudden you have a recipe for what's happening in the UK right now. Maybe, look, we're sitting here in the States, and it could be completely overblown. Because I really just see what's going on X.
Data doesn't lie, though.
My entire feed is this stuff. I don't know about you guys. This is my entire feed now.
The data doesn't lie. And, I mean, we were in a slippery slope here in America. Don't forget that. Look where we were. Look how many – we had 12 million illegals coming in 4 years. And if Kamala beat Trump, where do you think we'd be today? Another 12 million? SNAP benefits, $160 billion with 42%, 45% of the population on SNAP benefits. Where do you think we'd be today if Kamala won? It's a very slippery slope, and when you give them an inch, they take a mile. And I think we forget that in America. It's like, yeah, we're ahead of UK now because Trump won. What would have happened if Trump lost? Where would we be?
Well, first of all, Bitcoin would still be at like 40,000. Coinbase might be sued out of existence. CZ would still be in prison. And you guys, even though, I know we're struggling now, if you're holding alts, we'd be wrecked even more. So just from a pure financial interest standpoint, if you're in the financial markets, you don't want the Dems in power. But, it's interesting in America because I don't really feel, if you're talking about, okay, you got 12 million illegal, or however much entered, the last 4 years under Biden. I didn't notice it because, you know what I mean? You're living in your own community. You don't really feel these things. But then you start to see on the news, truck driver, illegal immigrant, didn't know English, somehow passed the exam, driving this massive big rig, slams into multiple cars and kills like 6 people. So there are real consequences to it, even if you don't feel it in your everyday lives. That's what I've sort of come to realize. And thank goodness for X for sort of being that alternate source of truth. Because if you follow only mainstream media, you do not know what's going on half the time with these stories, which the mainstream media either purposely gloss over, they don't feel it's worthy of news. I don't know, but it's a scary thought. I'm glad Trump won. Markets are looking good. Hopefully the EU comes around, retains their culture, retains their national identities, and then, most importantly, decides to buy Bitcoin.
Well, here's one thing the EU is apparently doing, printing $400 billion by the end of the year. So QE is not just happening in the US, QE is happening with the euro.
Well, here's to hopefully illegal immigrants know how to log into Coinbase Europe and buy some Bitcoin, I guess, because that's where that money's going.
No, I don't want to come across, by the way, it's like total assholes that we hate all immigrants, hate all illegal immigrants. Look, sure, I'm sure some are fleeing absolutely horrible situations and their lives are in danger, and in which case asylum, I think, is still a useful policy for that very specific fact set, right? Life genuinely in danger. Not, life is kind of tough because I come from a poor country and I don't really want to work hard and improve my life, improve my economy, but I can just move over to England I can move over to America and I'll get free benefits. That's not asylum, guys. That doesn't count as asylum. So we're not out here being assholes. We understand sometimes people's lives are in danger. Let's help those folks out. But if you're just looking to mooch off the system, you're a little bit lazy, don't love your life in whatever country you came from, that is not grounds to move to the EU or England or the US and start mooching off everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people know we're not being assholes. Not all immigrants. It's about illegals. But the thing is, you got to be loud. You almost got to be an asshole to kind of make up for how far we've gone and how far the countries have gone. Martin says, as an EU citizen, I can confirm you see it the right way. So there you go. And then Web3 says, Poland is goated. Yeah, that indeed. And then we got Begito also saying you're definitely right. So it's like, we don't mean to be assholes, but you almost have to be stern with this shit because it's gotten so bad and so far. And we need you to open up your eyes. And maybe you say, oh, fuck these guys, they're assholes. Go do a Google search real quick, and I bet you start to switch your viewpoint and your mindset very quickly.
I'm an immigrant. I immigrated to another country.
Get him out!
Get him out! Learn the language.
But if I behaved here the way that many illegal immigrants or even naturalized immigrants behave in America, I'd be out on my ass in a hot minute. Same with pretty much any country you go to outside of Western diluted mindset countries. The Europe and the U.S., Canada, they're going to kick you out in a hot minute. If you don't obey the laws, if you don't assimilate to the culture, if you come in and try and enforce your religion, your way of life, your anything on their culture, you're gone. And that's understandable and totally acceptable. So the rest of the world outside of the Europe and North America think we're absolutely insane. You ask people, what do they see what's going on? They're like, you guys are nuts. I don't know how this is, how you guys continue to do this. I don't know how you accept this. I don't know how you tolerate these kind of things, but it certainly wouldn't be tolerated in any of these countries outside of the U.S. It wouldn't be accepted in any of the, Middle Eastern countries. It wouldn't be accepted in any of the Asian countries, et cetera, et cetera. It's just the Western countries that are bending over backwards to ruin their own culture and society. So yeah, take it from a person who is an immigrant. I totally understand and agree with people being upset and with what's happening in the West.
I mean, here's my take on it too, right? Like, I don't mind immigrants. We are actually all the grandchildren or whatever of immigrants. That's America is that, and that's a beautiful thing. But the caveat, and it's a huge caveat, is you have to assimilate. You have to actually try to become American, learn the language, embrace the culture, right? I'm not saying convert to a certain religion because I think that's not what we believe in either, but at least become Americanized. Believe in capitalism, believe in democracy, right? Don't try to force your shit on other people. And if you're not a mooch off the system, if you want to contribute, work, pay taxes, I got no issues. But don't try to force your shit on other people, and don't come in and be a mooch and live off other people. That's fucked up. So all you EBT losers, get a damn job. Get a damn job, and I hope they cut your benefits, and I hope Trump decides to then take that. How many was it, 500 billion? Turn that into a stimulus check for all the good taxpayers who've been out here working hard and have been struggling the past few years. How about that?
That would be nice, and that could pump the markets because I'll tell you what, those taxpayers are the ones that are in the trenches and trying to figure out ways to make money for the family, whether it's in investments, whether it's in side hustles, whatever it is. So that money's way more likely to come into the markets like we saw in COVID than just these EBT people going to Walmart and buying whatever piece of shit from China and whatever junk food they want to buy.
I hear they're getting $4,000 in some cases in benefits. That's an enormous amount of money, guys. That's more than a lot of people make working full-time jobs. Like, this is crazy.
And I mean, and there is people who need it, but I just think there's a small percentage. But, look, I don't even know in my inner circle people with it. But I can tell you that my wife, as somebody who has the services, she gets offered EBT in exchange for her services at a 2x rate. So people need it to live, but they will say, hey, I know your service is $150. I'll give you $300 in food stamps if you go ahead and give me a $150 service. So does that sound like somebody that needs this EBT to survive? Doesn't really sound like it to me, but that happens on a daily basis. People sell their EBT here for cash, $100 in EBT, they'll sell it to you for $50 in cash. You go get a 50% discount on their groceries. They get $100K cash to go to a concert or buy weed or buy alcohol or whatever they want to do. So does that sound like somebody who needs it to survive? No, I see this in my daily life. So you can say it doesn't exist. I am in an ancillary circle where I barely even see it, and I get offered this stuff. My wife get offers this stuff. So it happens on a much broader scale if I'm seeing this and I don't even affiliate with those type of people.
Keep the government shut down. Can you hear that? Trump, Dems, Republicans, good work. Keep it shut down. Let's see what happens. Let's see how far we can get. I mean, this government is so bloated. There's so many people just mooching off the system. It's really disgusting. We all deserve a tax cut, by the way. I just paid so many tens of thousands of dollars in federal taxes. So many tens of thousands. And I don't even make that much. I don't even make that much, guys. And I paid multiple tens of thousands to the feds, not also including the state, which I also paid.
And the city.
And and the city. I mean, my God, that's a whole different. The property tax is a whole nother story. But at least that goes to my kid's school and that pays the teachers, and so I'm cool with that. But don't take my money. I work hard for, take a lot of risks, and then turn around and give it to these degenerates who are not working, decided to have a bunch of kids, and then not even using these food stamps for actual food. This is madness. This is madness. This is madness. Let's keep the shutdown going. Well, lefties don't get it. You're right. I know we veered political today, guys, but hey, that happens. It's all related. Immigrants don't assimilate. I mean, I think historically a lot do, and I'm sure still some do, many do. But then if there's enough that don't, and they slowly become a much bigger part of the society and a voting bloc, and that's a dangerous thing. I don't think you want that in a country.
Well, I think the biggest thing is too, you have the immigrant, the illegals, or the ones that have been nationalized that don't assimilate now finding their way into power. Look at no further than Minneapolis with the Somalian population and Ilmar Omar and all them who literally don't call Trump the president, but call the president of Somalia, the country they fled from, their president. That is not assimilation, and now they're in power in Congress and Senate and House. And what do you think that does to the voting of bringing more people in, the assimilation, and everything else? Well, it doesn't go in the favor of America, I can tell you that. That's crazy. When I see those clips, it's disgusting. They won't call Trump their president, but they'll call the president of Somalia, the country they fled from, their president. Make that make sense? I don't get it. But here you go, Nate. Let's get back into the markets before we wrap this up.
Young will last to 27. That will be something. I don't think that's the case.
This is taking us more down that path. It's not taking us back to the markets. But yeah, Professor St. Onge, one of my favorite economists out there, very funny and very brilliant guy. But saying in theory, yeah, Amaro, your scenario could play out. The shutdown could go all the way to 2027 because there's no debt ceiling to scare the financial markets. Essentially, nobody needs the deal, so if that miracle to work out, these non-essential layoffs would become permanent. We could start paying down the debt by trillions. So,
well, and I guess
tongue in cheek there, but
I guess that's how it all plays out too. Because remember, the biggest argument and the biggest deal that the Democrats want to reopen the government, why they're keeping it closed, look into it. It's actually the funding of illegal immigrants with government subsidies, with medical support. That is the biggest argument. And that's why it all ties together. They're closing the U.S. government primarily because they need another $1.1 billion for illegals that they say weren't getting support in the first place. That is crazy to me. I will never understand it. You will never get me to agree with it. And if you vote Democrat, even seeing that would sicken me, and I would have to be more moderate or vote to the right. I don't understand it. Our government is shut down because we want to give more money to those who don't deserve it. I don't get it. And they're definitely not the ones who are buying up Ethereum. As we see Ethereum on the centralized exchanges, we'll give a shout out to the Crypto Night show here, a small guy over on Pulse Chain who has supported Surf in the past in Crypto Paradise, so we'll support you. ETH on exchanges continues to fall from 20.2 million on July 1st to only 15.8 million now, down $4.4 million, even while your timeline is bearish. The available Ethereum on centralized exchanges continues to plummet. Now, what happens to supply shock if Ethereum shows green candles and gets above $5,000? Wow, things could escalate quickly. And that's why, the price targets of 5,000 or 8,000 might even be low, and you really get that euphoria in the market, which drives Ethereum to 10,000, 15,000, or even my $22,035 prediction if Bitcoin hit 244K.
You're only going to get there if you hold, though, folks. You ain't going to get there if you sell at the first green candle. Oh, yeah, I'm up 5%. I'm out of the markets. Oh, Bitcoin or ETH hits 5,000. We're going to have a lot of sellers then, too. They'll be out. I don't know, man. Short-term mindset, that's not how you make it in these markets. That's not how I ever made any money in these markets. You got to be long-term. Hodl on, believe in something. I want to circle back to the shutdown real quick because you know what I think is going to get this thing, quote, resolved? I think it's going to come down to the air traffic controllers. That is normally, by the way, one of the big pressure points. Because if you start to impact normal Americans' lives. Not people that work in the government, not moochers that get EBT, but real Americans, taxpayers who can't get to places because the air traffic controllers are no longer getting paid and they stop going to work. That's what caused the last shutdown to end. So I wouldn't be surprised. By the way, we should privatize air traffic controllers. That should really just be a part of the airlines. You pay your ticket, maybe it costs extra $25, and you have a private, actual for-profit, real good company running it, not the federal government who does not know how to run business. But that's a whole other story. So I think that's what ends up being the dam that breaks this shutdown. But if people lose out, if the moochers lose out on the EBTs, I could care less, man. Get a goddamn job.
There you go. Words to close out the the stream today with.
Or just invest. You don't even have to get a job. Just invest in AI, invest in crypto, learn that, and you don't even necessarily need a job, because God knows, what we do here every day isn't a real job either. But at least we do something. At least we're somewhat productive. Arguably. So.
All you got to do is be a productive member of society. Is you're doing something that generates income that you have to then pay taxes on, versus taking the tax dollars of the others to then go spend.
Yeah. Go to OnlyFans. Are people making millions off of that shit? At least do OnlyFans. Don't just sit around collecting money. You can at least be OnlyFans. I digress. But great show today, guys. Maybe we can finish it up on some Pulse Chain news and topics, because we got Crypto Jack here talking about Pulse Chain. I know we're on a little bit of a correction today, but I think that's across the markets. You showed that chart earlier there, Nick. I mean, I think the positive momentum of that trend line is still intact. I mean, if you look at that chart, you see a little bit of correction, but my guess is we're going to bounce higher here after these rate cuts. What say you guys on Pulse Chain and other risk assets?
I'm hoping so, but I got to bounce. We're already an hour into this one, and we started 30 minutes late. I got a call here I got to jump on, but we'll see you guys tomorrow for another epic live stream.
Sounds good.
Carry on, gents. Yep. We'll see ya.
Yeah, I mean, we see the Pulse Chain here. We saw the inverse head and shoulders, this godforsaken green line that's all important for months now that I drew here all the way back here. Been very important. We got rejected off that again, and now we're coming back down. You kind of want to, hold these levels and continue higher. Remember, the measured move for this inverse head and shoulders is where? Right here, and look where we stopped. So nothing crazy is happening here. Ethereum is down a bit. Bitcoin's down again. FOMC meeting. We got up to the target. We got rejected at the green line, and now we are down. But I still think higher lows, trend line intact. Let's continue to make our way above and close above this green line so that we can head towards 7,000 PLS. And really, PLS is going to drive all the other blue chips and the overall market. If you're all in on Pulse Chain, out of these four, I really like Pulse X due to the token economics, but I'm not going to hate you with any of them. And then, of course, we got to believe in the Surf token as it continues to buy and burn itself, continues to pay passive income, DAO holders getting the alpha, and 400,000 Surf or more gets you into the Frontier Fund, which looks like is going to pay us another 15 to 30% profits here in the coming days. And we'll be bragging about that, and maybe then you will buy the Surf token. But again, you had this nice accumulation on Surf. The breakout occurred, and now we are retesting these levels upon the market weakness. So we'll see how things play out, and let's see if Pulse Chain, Surf token, PTGC, and others can continue to put higher lows in place, continue to deflate away, and continue to reward the long-term hodlers and believers in that ecosystem.
Let's go Pulse Chain. The audience loves it. By the way, Surf just hit 900 holders. And you know what's crazy? Earlier in the stream, when you pulled up that same exact, Dex tools or whatever it was, Dex screener, I don't know which, it had like 897. So we seemingly have gained 3 holders in the last
Shout out to
hour.
those buying. Makes sense.
There you go. There you go. So, folks, this is why we do what we do. We get out here every day and we talk God knows what. It's all about attention. So we're getting attention on Crypto Paris, getting attention on Surf. We're bringing, I think, great opportunities to you guys. I know the market's been shit, but Frontier Fund's been printing 15 to 30% returns a month for everyone who's participated in that. We have an airdrop that's coming for all DAO members of the XXX token. So if you're in the DAO group, fill out that form that we just shared. Get yourself a share of the XXX token, meaning 25,000 triple X tokens, each of you. And we're making it rain in many other ways. $1,000 being given away. I believe we'll do this every month now because it's working out really well to the most engaged people here at Crypto Paradise. So what are we going to come up with next? By the way, we got a pre-sale that's about to go out for a project called Backstage, launching on Kraken in 7 days, 6 days, very short time frame. So you don't have to wait too long on that one. Launching at a mere $115,000 market cap, literally launching on Kraken. I think that one could be explosive, not financial advice. But again, another opportunity for DAO members. So we've gained about 4 or 5 DAO members in the past week. We want to see more of you guys jumping in here. We want to see more of you on the stream, taking advantage of the various opportunities. Not all will be winners. These are the financial markets. This is crypto. This shit is still the Wild West, guys. So understand the risk. Understand that nothing is a guarantee. But you get more winners than losers, and that's how you end up retired on the beach in a few short years.
Yeah, and that raise is imminent. I think they told us the raise has to be done by Monday. So we have less than a week to get that raise done. So get 200,000 surf if you want to participate in that. I will be personally investing in it. This is the first pre-sale in a very long time that we've had excitement of. Quants was another one, but they have delayed their launch. Backstage seemingly is not delaying their launch. They've already had signed agreements with Kraken, signed agreements with the DEX and other centralized exchanges. It is poised. We are getting in an investment round too. We negotiated an investment round that is one of the best rounds on the pre-sale market as far as TGE, no cliff, and the short vesting period. Only public round has better vesting terms, but the public round is at 2x the price that we're getting in. So all those details are still kind of private, so those will be visible only in the Surf DAO. Get in the DAO to see if you want to participate, and if you participate and we start bragging about it, don't say we didn't tell you, and give you the heads up.
Absolutely, absolutely. 900 holders and growing. We got new community members jumping in on the stream. Really, truly appreciate you guys. Remember to get in the Telegram as well. Get in the Crypto Paradise Telegram. Let us know what topics you want us to cover. Let us know your take and your opinion on the markets. Let us know your take and opinion on all things political. Let us know when you want to hit us up. Get yourself on the DAO and get yourself maybe even a free vacation down to Tulum, Mexico, where the Paradise Pad is located. We're the only people doing that too, by the way. So a lot of things to like here. I'm excited for this rate cut. Powell's looking jacked.
Giga Chad Powell coming in here. 0.5% rate cut coming. He's doing his push-ups right now.
He's cut. We're getting the cut. We're looking good. We're feeling good. I got to get myself in the gym after this stream. But great stuff today, guys. We'll be back again tomorrow with another show. So remember to like, share, subscribe. And until tomorrow, we will see you on the beach.